and heads technology policy. He has also done his fellowship from IIT Madras. So now I hand over the platform to you, sir.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm Mohammed Jamil. I'm just in transition phase, switching my jobs until the starting of this uh, month. I was with NHSRC heading the health technology division. Uh, from next month I'll be joining something else. Yet to take a call. I'm on a small break. Uh, so, would you want me to have my video on? Or actually, I'm personally perfectly fine without that as well. But in case you guys need that. So, as discussed, I'll be speaking for around 40 minutes and then invite questions for another 20 minutes. I hope that is what we plan. So, I'll be making a presentation or what you say uh, mm, on medical devices landscape uh, of in the country, and will tell you about what all do we have the opportunities here. So let me know in case you guys are able to see my screen once. I'm just trying to do that now. Right. So is my presentation visible to you all?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, good. So, so I'll be talking about the medical devices landscape in the country. So when I say landscape, I'll be talking about regulations. I'll be talking about safety regulations, price regulations, other opportunities that we have, some of the milestone events that we have been able to achieve in the country recently. So I don't know how many of you all are aware. May I request others to kindly switch off their mic till they are not speaking? Right. So I don't know how many of you all are aware about the National Health Policy 2017. It was released in 2017, which gives an overall direction to where healthcare in India will move, and medical devices plays an important role out there. So far, medical devices has been a cornerstone in universal health coverage, but all of us know that it plays an important role in overall diagnostics, therapeutics, rehabilitation, and as assistive devices. And we also know that places where there is scarcity of resources, especially human resources and other infrastructural resources, the need for health technology or medical devices is even more. And such places need more innovative devices which are more cost effective, less user intensive. So there's a lot of scope that medical devices currently has. So we'll talk about what are the main salient features that the national health policy has so far talked about, and it is important for all of us to know. So first is the Make in India uh, campaign, and that also focuses on customized indigenous medical devices for the health sector and creation of backward linkages for medical devices production. So what happens once the production is there? How will supply and demand coordinate with it? So this is there in the national health policy, primarily for the manufacturing sector. Then national health policy also spoke about the regulatory framework. So far, the medical devices regulations in India are not that strong, although many considerable steps have been taken in past few years. So we are yet to see a concrete act or a bill on in this regard. Then again on the medical devices recommendation regulations, the policy recommends for post-market surveillance for medical devices. So post-market surveillance is reporting of adverse events which happen due to medical devices. So there is an established system for pharmaceuticals, an established system for medical devices, not as established as drugs because the drugs is quite a mature system in the country. We have a system for hemovigilance for blood products, then for even for adverse events following immunization. So it is an important pillar of medical devices regulations. Then the policy also spoke about pricing of drugs, devices, and equipment, and why pricing is important. A lot of you must have read in the newspapers that patients being charged heavily for some of the devices like cardiac stents and orthopedic implants. So and the NPPA, that is the National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority, had to step in and set price caps for these devices. However, this step is a lot debatable. Many say that when you price cap a particular device, the hospital is still free to charge anything for the ancillary services, for the bed, for the other services that it's offered. So patient ultimately doesn't get benefit. This is one side of the story. And so this matter is debatable. When you put a price cap, how do you actually do the price capping? And we'll discuss this going forward. Then uh, the policy also spoke about availability of drugs and devices. So uh, if you look at the public health system, the smallest health facility that we have as a sub center is for a population of 5,000. So at times, managing supply chain logistics to the last mile is a challenge. However, this policy has made a commitment of ensuring drugs and devices to the last mile, which is an important step. Then aligning other policies for medical devices and equipment with public health goals that we all have been discussing now. And it also said specific focus on getting generic drugs and diagnostics. And when we see say generic drugs and diagnostics, what it means is ensuring that no brand specific products get consumed in the public health system, which makes the overall health systems quite expensive when you buy branded products. Then an important field, the health technology assessment, which is an important area where medical devices professionals, biomedical engineers could get into. So, what basically health technology assessment does is, if you have two technologies to compare, uh, and this is an important science which enables you to compare which is most cost effective, which is most efficacious to be used. So, let's take an example. If you have say comparing single slice CT scan machine to 128 slice CT scan machine. So obviously 128 slice would be much expensive, but it would then also be offering many more features to it. So you do an assessment looking at whether you need those additional features of say cardio angio or not, whether you have human resources for that or not. So it not only requires understanding of health technology, it requires understanding of systematic reviews, health economics. But it is an interesting area if biomedical engineers want to get into it. So this is an area where other health professionals from health economics background or clinical research also get into it. But obviously a good scope for biomedical engineers also. A lot of medical devices companies recruit biomedical engineers with a background of health economics outcome research, HEOR as it is called. Even pharmaceutical companies do that because this science helps them to do their advocacy with the insurance companies, with the even with government agencies that have public sector insurance programs. So, for example, Ayushman Bharat, which is an initiative of Government of India, and then there is state government health insurance schemes as well. For example, Rajasthan has Bhamasha, and all the states have their own. Tamil Nadu also has their. So these signs helps the medtech companies do their advocacy with their state governments and central government. Then policy also spoke about research collaboration in this area for medical devices, which is currently at a very weak stage here. I hope I'm uh, going with appropriate speed and I'm clear. In case there's something, do feel free to point out. So currently, the market size of medical devices in the country is 35,000 crores. Around 350 to 400 licenses are there for medical devices, and the number is very less because currently very small number of medical devices are regulated, but this scope is getting increased. Now we are planning to regulate all the medical devices, so this number will multiply by a big push this will get. So currently, only notified devices are regulated as drugs, but as I said, we are going to regulate all medical devices now. The devices that we use in the country are mostly import dependent, so 75% of it, approximately, that we use are imported. And the interesting thing is that whatever we produce as medical devices in the country, so majority of it that we do, that is around 70%, again we export it primarily to third world countries, and those are very simple and basic in nature. So for example, like condoms or basic instruments, hospital furnitures, surgical instruments, which are easy to manufacture. But slowly we are moving into a bit complex devices as well. Some lab equipment, some X-rays. So that segment we have to move very quickly in order to make this affordable in our country. So there's currently no price control as such authority for the devices, but few devices are price regulated, like stents and knee implants currently. And then we'll also discuss how drugs and devices, what all they have common, what differences do they have, because currently all these things are regulated by the drug authorities, right? Uh, I'm just checking on if I hope I'm going with an appropriate pace, right? Yes. Sorry for that. So this is medical devices rules 2017. I think the previous speaker has already spoken about it, but I'll just give you a brief overview again so that the what happens is that my previous slides and the upcoming slides have commonality. So medical devices rules are separate from drugs, but from the same act. So if you see, there's a big act called Drugs and Cosmetics Act, very old act. Within that, you have new rules for devices. And this is in conformity with the Global Harmonization Task Force framework. The framework, GHTF framework, is available online in the public domain if one feels you could read about it. Then this speaks about enhanced clinical trial norms as per international best practices earlier, which was not there for devices. And for the first time, it has made certified agencies which would be involved to audit the manufacturing units. And there are four classifications for the medical devices. Class A, the low risk devices, So, for example, syringes and all. Class B is low to moderate risk devices. C is moderate to high risk devices, and D is high risk devices. Drug Controller General of India under the Union government will regulate Class C and D devices, and Class A and B, which are easy low risk devices, will be regulated by the state regulatory authority through the certified agencies. A single window clearance for medical devices and diagnostic industry has been launched, an online portal called Sugam Portal. So this looks at import, manufacturing, clinical investigation, sales, and distribution of licenses. So this makes the life of importers and manufacturers quite easy, especially in COVID times, because you now have an online portal. In terms of price gaps, so NBPA, as I said, slashed the prices for coronary stents as much as 85% and imposed price ceiling for all drug-eluting stents and bioabsorbable stents. So these are primarily two types of stents. There are others as well, but these are the biggest market shares. So even this was discussed when PM visited US. This matter was of such prime importance because most of the stent manufacturers which were leading the market prior to this step were US based, be it Abbott and others. However, the move was very well taken by the Indian manufacturers, and it was also reported in the Economic Times that some of the private equity firms are now approaching the Indian manufacturers for investment. There's also an important segment on maximum retail price. So, legal metrology rules 2011 um, is something which is now applicable on medical devices effective from 2018. And why it is applicable is because it was reported that consumers at large were facing difficulty as the prices of devices were sold according to the paying capacities of the consumers. So now these rules provide that every package shall bear the name, address, telephone number, email address of the person who can be or the office which can be contacted in case of consumer complaint. So earlier this MRP thing on medical devices was not there, but now on regulated devices it has to be mandated. Global Forum on Medical Devices. This is an important landmark achievement in our medical devices sector. So in May 2017, when I got the opportunity to visit the WHO headquarters in Geneva, where the third Global Forum on Medical Devices was hosted, represented by 85 countries and 650 dignitaries. So myself with additional DCGI announced the fourth Global Forum in India, in which happened in 2018. And this was certainly a landmark event for our country. Another landmark event in the country which happened was hosting the Asian Harmonization Working Party. So the 22nd conference was hosted in New Delhi, which was aimed at harmonizing medical devices regulation in India. And it also highlighted the initiative taken by the government of India in this sector and bringing all stakeholders together. And if you see what is the importance of harmonizing medical devices regulations in India. So, for example, if you are a manufacturer of a medical device based in Europe, so anyways, you will be following European regulations, but you also have to supply this in India, in China, in USA. Until unless these regulations are harmonized, uh, a specific manufacturer will have rather a lot of difficulties in following safety regulations. So that's why where the importance of harmonization comes in. And this meeting is specifically focused for Asian harmonization. Excuse me. Talking about standards and quality. So Bureau of Indian Standards is the standard making body in India, but most of the medical devices standards are still voluntary. Then there's a body called National Accreditation Board for Testing and Calibration Laboratories, (NABL), which not only accreditates diagnostic labs but also for medical devices. It makes standards for calibration and accreditates calibration testing labs for medical devices as well. Then there's a body under Quality Council of India called NABCB, National Accreditation Board for Certifying Bodies, which accreditates bodies and which in turn inspects medical devices manufacturers for compliance to ISO standards and other standards mandated by a certifying body. This is Material Vigilance Program of India. And why I'm telling you all this is you all should be updated, because all of this brings about employment opportunities and opportunities for entrepreneurial and entrepreneurial stint as well. So, Material Vigilance Program of India is basically adverse event reporting mechanism for medical devices, and these are the leading institutes which coordinate all this. And even a lot of companies, medtech companies, are now hiring professionals who would help them in reporting adverse event to these authorities. Under National Health Mission, that is NHM, a lot of investment has already gone into in the medical devices, be it the PM National Dialysis Program or the Free Diagnostics Initiative or Biomedical Equipment Maintenance Program, which manages the overall medical equipment maintenance for the state government. So a lot of investment in medical devices has gone into it already. This is National Health Innovation Portal, which is an important um portal for any innovative product that has come into the market. So this portal was launched in 2015, which serves as a platform in the public domain to facilitate collection and dissemination of good practices and innovations, and obviously which are found to be appropriate. This portal basically serves as a gateway for integrating innovations into the mainstream healthcare and has potential to bring about transformative improvements in healthcare delivery by accelerating the uptake of successful innovations. So this is how the portal looks like. So if you go to submit your innovations, you will have two options: program innovations or product innovations. So for medtech people, product innovations is important. So you submit your innovations, and there's an annual conference which happens, and this is and the selected innovations are presented to all the state governments for its uptake. So this is the inclusion criteria for the product innovation. So the product should be relevant to existing public healthcare needs of the population, especially those who are disadvantaged and marginalized. Innovation should address locally endemic health problems or diseases, and uh, should have an approach or to people in terms of accessibility, including reach to rural areas for tier 2, tier 3, urban settlements, affordability, including potential to reduce cost of care, inclusive of safety, obviously. The innovation should also look at bridging a crucial specialized skill gap required in delivery of health services. Then it should meet the criteria for uniqueness of logic of initiative, and should be scalable at large, which is very, very important. There are certain exclusion criteria as well. So, specific drugs, surgical or medical procedures or practices that need regulatory clearances cannot be included as it is without having a regulatory clearance. And number two, obviously, incomplete documentation of innovations. So For any innovation to be reviewed, the document should include adequate information on process, on human resources and infrastructure need, capacity building strategies, cost, challenges, and lessons you've learned so far. So this is the process flow chart. So if you look at the left side of it, so the innovation information pooling, how we've been doing earlier through national conferences on health technology innovations, publications from IITs and technology R&D institutions, summits organized by medical devices and technology consortiums, market research, projects funded by DBT, DST, DT, THR, and other government departments. Then it goes through screening committees for selection and assessment of appropriate innovations. Committee for product innovation assessment looks at it, and finally approval of MOHFW and uptake of innovations in national health program happens. Now, this is an important tool, as I had mentioned earlier, HTA for innovations uptake. Excuse me for a moment. Mm, Right. Yeah. Mm, Right. So, HTA, as I mentioned, is one of the approved work activities of the division. So, a comprehensive HTA includes measure of clinical effectiveness, cost effectiveness, legal and social dimensions of technologies and interventions. So, the work primarily that we were doing is on capacity building and technology assessments. So, capacity building and HTA fellowships looks at jointly organized capacity building programs with WHO and other leading institutes. And every trained candidate is expected to complete an HTA over 3 to 4 months period. Periodically, a batch of 60 health professionals being trained. So, complete support is provided for completing the project. Each project is assessed by completeness by a set of reviewers and released in compendium every 6 months. And then 304 candidates are being trained over 3 years. So, these are some of the photographs of some past sessions that we've held. Technology assessment. So till date, 93 technologies have been reviewed, and out of this, 38 comprehensive assessments have been completed. Periodically, these assessments are also published in collaboration with WHO country office. In terms of applicability, HTA is being progressively used as a tool for making decisions in programs covered under National Health Mission, which is India's novel approach. And while broad health programs that are to be covered and health services that are to be included, such programs are planned based on evidences. Social priorities are given due to importance as well. So this is it from my side. I've concluded a bit in advance from the expected time. I'll be happy to take any questions that you guys have for me. Over to you. Thank you so much.
Now the floor is open for the questions. Sir, there is a questions in the chat room. Please kindly answer it.
Eligibility to get HDF fellowship, right? So there's no as such eligibility or even passed out students who are interested. And in terms of procedure, as soon as there is an announcement, you should watch out the space on nhsrcindia.org. You could there's a you just have to send an email there and you could get the fellowship. uh, so the next fellowship is yet not announced, but would suggest those who are interested to keep an eye on nhsrcindia.org. So one question that I am getting is, are there any distance program for health economics? So in I'm not sure about distance program in health economics. I think there's some program conducted by PGI Chandigarh. Dr. Shankar Prinja is leading some online modules, not only in health economics but in systematic reviews as well. Dr. Shankar Prinja is a big name in. He's a professor of health economics at PGI Chandigarh. That is one place you should look out for. You could also look at there are certain universities abroad offering good courses as well. But in India, I think PGI Chandigarh should be you should be looking at under Shankar Prinja.
Sir, like I wanted to know about some. Are there any certification courses for regulatory affairs, sir?
So in terms of certification courses, so I think there must be a lot of agencies offering that. But what you have to look at is whether it is through uh, through a um, authorized agency or not. See, the regulations currently of medical devices are managed by the Central Drug Standard Control Organization. Uh, and currently they have been keeping really busy because of COVID, because they also regulate drugs, devices, vaccines, and that has kept them busy. Uh, I think the request could go, in case you all are interested, uh, a request could go from your side to TCGI for organizing such a program, which could be helpful for you all. Um, I hope they accept your request.
Okay, sir.
So one question I'm reading in the chat box, it says, what are the opportunities for a mechanical engineer in biomedical engineering? What are courses, online courses that can be done? So till biomedical engineering formally came into place, a lot of mechanical engineers, a lot of rather electronics and electrical engineer fill this space. So if you look at a lot of leading medtech professionals in the industry are from electrical or electronics background. I'm not seeing many mechanical engineers because mechanical devices are lesser in number. Medical devices are very less in number. Mostly are electrical and electronic based, which have more potential in biomedical engineering. So I haven't looked at from mechanical engineers point of view. So sorry, I won't be able to help you much in this regard.
Sir, I have a one question. I want to. So what are the points has to be covered for as a biomedical engineer for the regulatory affair?
Your question is, what are the courses to be covered?
Yeah, yeah. In the courses, what are the points to be covered?
So see, basically what happens is key regulatory affair professionals are hired by a lot of medtech firms. So once they hire you, they train you for all the requirements for medical devices regulations themselves. This is one form of work that you do. Then another the other kind of work that you could do is get along with accreditation bodies for doing the inspections and validations for medical devices testing and accreditation. And for that, depending upon which standards you are following, there's a different training. So for example, if you are doing for AERB licensing, uh, yeah, which is for radiology, you will have to undergo a training by AERB itself. Then for example, if you are doing for lab equipment, for diagnostic clinical laboratory equipment, there is a training on ISO 17025 that. So medical devices are wide in domain, and depending on upon which domain you want to get into testing, you will have to find get into that kind of training for your purpose.
Okay. So, sir, this insightful information where I can get it. Since I'm an academic, so our student, we have a syllabus going to come in the next coming, and currently also we have a part of regulatory affair, this some ISO numbers and all. It is included in the syllabus for one
Yeah,
subject. So,
yeah,
we have to, since biomedical is they are studying, they're studying the subjects in the radiology is also some part, diagnostics also, medical equipment also. So it is an interdisciplinary field. So we have to
yeah.
narrow down our student to give a right path, that if some of our student they plan to go on this field, then
Yeah.
say some will be interested in the radiations, radiologies, and some are interested in the diagnostics, some are interested on the biometrics.
Mm.
So they have to be aware of this thing. So that's why if they do something in the graduate levels and the postgraduate levels, then it will be at on benefit for them. So that's why I want to more know on these things.
So one caveat here is you would not get all the information at one place in the public domain, because this is a very niche area. I think you will have to get in touch with some of the industry experts, get your curriculum refined, and have few of them as your visiting faculties who could help you with taking such courses. So that's the way I look at it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
If this is it, I think we could conclude then.
Yes. Yes.
In
Janet,
case there are no
over to you.
I would like to thank you, sir, for this very informative session and for guiding us all. Thank you so.
completely my pleasure. I'll take your leave then. Uh, Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you, sir, for joining the sessions and giving us the meticulous fix talks on the about the devices and all those things.
My pleasure. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.